Hello, and welcome to the Santaland podcast. I created it just for you. I'm your host, Tony Felice. In each episode, I'll read to you for 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about what we just heard. Like the cricket in my story, I'll guide you through a grown-up fairy tale, one that explores ideas of existence, identity, and the soul's journey through trauma, and the transformative power of love. By the end, you'll have heard my whole story, a sneak peek into the creative process of bringing a book to life. Maybe we'll read other books together. But for now, follow the wise cricket and discover the Santaland within yourself, a place of hope, connection, and peace that's already inside of you. This podcast is especially made for those like me who feel a little different and maybe talk about math at weddings or philosophy at funerals. And like me, maybe you have a loving husband or a wife or somebody else that loves you. If not, we're here to love you because you're in good company, my dear friends, here in Santaland. Hello, and welcome back to the Santaland podcast. Believe it or not, we are about halfway through. So if you have made it this far, I am so excited. I'm very glad. Things are going to pick up from this point forward, so buckle up. This next chapter is chapter 32, entitled Bitz Blitz on a Cracker. It's important to gain some perspective. So look into my watch again. We're traveling to when Meredith hung up the phone. You can see her here, over there, in that skyscraper, on that very high floor, through the window. See? Meredith sat there, exasperated, surrounded by an elegant corner office. The door opened, and her senior editor, a fiery, brassy redhead named Bitz, entered her office with a flourish. Bitz D LeCourt, someone whose celebrity sometimes threatened to eclipse Meredith's, but only when Meredith's eyes were off a prize. "Jesus, Chief, you look pale," Bitz said. "Didn't you just come home from Barbados with that scrumptious boy you married?" "What is it, Bitz? I'm busy," Meredith said distractedly. "Busy bee, Miss Queen Bee." "Jesus, you are distracted," Bitz said. "What's up?" she asked as she crossed the room, all flurry of boho patterns, bangles, and skirts. Meredith thought to herself, why this woman persists on looking like a gypsy when she has more money than God. Bitz landed on the leather chair across from Meredith's desk, in a cloud of paisley and a prim face. "Tell Bitsy, baby, what is it?" Meredith turned from the window. Half of lower Manhattan was cut by the crease of her shoulder pads. The other half glistened in the rain, which drizzled down the window like chaos looking for perfection. Yellow cabs and white lights dotted an otherwise dirty landscape of gray and steel and purple bruised clouds, rubbing all over Park Avenue, giving every light a halo. The mist smothered street signs and smoky caresses. Central Park was heavy with wet clouds. Meredith said, half paying attention. She was lit by the window, and Bitz saw her for a moment, really saw her. Lit like one of Hopper's nighthawks. Red lipstick, shock of blonde hair, holding an unlit cigarette. Meredith had quit the smoking, but not the habit. Bitz watched as Meredith twirled it between her fingers, thinking, "Jesus, Mare, you are lost. Cough it up, sister. What's the deal?" "What would you do if someone you loved was losing it?" Meredith asked. "Tom?" You guessed correctly," Meredith said flatly. She set the cigarette in an ashtray and turned back to the window. Bitz said, "Who else would you obsess over, Mare? I mean, for Christ's sakes, everything you have, everything in your stable, all the stuff, all the awards, shit, all the men that you've lorded over, and all you can do is worry about your crazy friend. How did you end up in business with that man in the first place? You never told me that story." "Shut up," Meredith replied. "You know how Tom and I met." "I do, but be careful, dear. He's a client, but you still let him get far into your world. Either that's a strategic move or a terrible decision. I've yet to decide. She was answered with a harumph. Business is business, darling, Bitz continued. But you look intense. What's on your mind? Why do you care about this author so much? I don't know, Meredith replied. Because he's handsome? Because I lost so many of my friends in the 80s, but he made it unscathed? Maybe because he really is a gentleman, and they're so hard to find these days, especially an intelligent one. And let's be honest, that man has had a lot to deal with, and damn if he hasn't turned it into a cash enterprise. He can keep the philosophy, frankly, but you know how it can be with someone you know completely. We have this thing, this unspoken, language of friendship, and also this combativeness. It used to be fun, but now it feels... Bitz took a seat and settled into the chair. She let it fold around her while she thought for a second about whether or not she should let her guard down and be the Elizabeth talking to Meredith, or should she remain the breezy, ditzy, powerful, witchy Bitsy? That mantle was a heavy one. Fuck it, she thought to herself, and rolled the dice on being Elizabeth. I get it, Meredith. Who knows why anything happens in this world? What does it mean for you? Has it brought you joy? Yes, he's brought a lot to the table, but you seem to love him and hate him at times. And you often turn to David like he's going to give you an answer that only you can provide. Damn it, Bitz. You know me. You see me, and I'm happy for it. I know what you mean. I don't have an answer for you. Somehow our lives are intertwined while still remaining separate, like an invisible string. Replied Bitsy. Meredith stood. She turned her back to Bitz and started talking before turning around to face her. He's been there through my failed marriages, Meredith added, my divorce, all the heartache from my family, my choices, the press, my need for approval from a man. My need for confirmation that I am fabulous and that I have style and that my eccentricities are not a wall but an invitation. Who knows why we make stupid mistakes in life, but also who knows why there's always someone there. And does it matter who that person is? They were interrupted by a knock on the door. A junior editor stuck his head in to ask a question, but before he could, Bitz jumped in with, "Enter at your peril, kid." The junior editor took one look at Meredith's face and backed out without a word, closing the door silently. Look, Bitz said, he certainly has a hold on you. Fuck it. Maybe I'm a little jealous. And don't blow your wig off. You have what I've never found, no matter where I've looked. And you have this delicious new boyfriend. Husband. Meredith shot a curdled look from behind a tumbler of scotch she had poured during Bitz's soliloquy. You? Jealous? Of me? Of our friendship? She took a seat and swiveled towards Bitz, who replied, No, stupid. Your connection. Your vibe. It takes an act of Congress for me to let my guard down and be the old Bitsy, the one from college. Me, good old Elizabeth, always the outcast. I get it, Meredith replied, but you and I have our own thing, Elizabeth. You think I don't know your act? Don't let me tell your secrets to your face. I have no secrets, Bitz replied coyly. Meredith continued, is he going to get it done? I can't get him to finish this latest work, and now he says he has another idea. It's maddening. But at least I'll get a nice visit, and I'll get some sun. That means you'll need to keep an eye out on things for me, sister. Do not let me down. A silence fell between the two old friends, but also between the CEO and a board member. They were friends, school chums and allies, but there was a professional distance, always. Bitsy said. Sometimes magic has a price tag. Can you afford this one? Meredith considered her friend, ready to launch off a typical hip-shot remark, but she held this time, and she turned to the tear-stained window one more time, looking for an answer that did not come. Okay, that was chapter 32. Bitz Blitz on a cracker. These two characters are an amalgamation of people that I know personally and characters that I've seen before, sort of tropes, if you will. You'll notice that there's a lot of boho people in this book who have that sort of crunchy mentality, I guess. And it's interesting that we would have somebody here, Bitzy, who is a board member, clearly, and a college friend, someone they'd known for a long time, but somebody who has more power than Meredith. But they are good friends. And here we have somebody named Bitz, who is as powerful as Meredith, but is a little bit more aligned with her sense of self, right? Every once in a while, I try to introduce a character that says things or asks questions that the reader might be asking. And that's why this character's here. And I wanted you to get a sense of Meredith's office, this cold office on the corner, with windows on two sides, looking out over Central Avenue. And I know I have my geography squirrely here, but I'm trying to paint a picture. And I remember being at work one day when it was raining like that, and just at the time I was challenged with making a decision whether or not to stay in that job or to go to Hollywood, California. And through other circumstances that are outside the framework of this story. But suffice to say that it was the day just like this. It was a sad, rainy day, and I was forced with making a decision. And one of my friends, who this character Bitz is drawn after, was asking me questions about my choices and whether or not it was the right thing for me to do. And so I took the feeling of that experience and put it into this scene. So that's about all I have to say about this, except it's clear that Meredith does care about Tom. She's not just pushing him for pushing him's sake. Apologies as I pause and wait for the plane to fly over. So yeah, that's it. And what do I mean here? I kind of like this last paragraph. Meredith considered her friend, ready to launch off a typical hipshot remark, but she held this time, and she turned to the tear-stained window one more time, looking for an answer that did not come. All of life's answers don't come from outside, they come from inside. If they come from outside, it's usually a course correction that's sending you somewhere else, I think. But all of the answers come from inside. We'll learn that more about our character. I'm sure you've learned that in your own life. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and I look forward to you joining me on for future episodes. Remember that they come out on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and you can listen to me on all your favorite podcast platforms. And I am super grateful that you do. It means a lot to me. God bless, and I hope you have a wonderful night.